Hi,
Hello.
Julia.
Hi, Edwards.
Hey, Ron, it's Julia.
Hey, how's it going? We had a good track and trace one this morning.
Great.
Yeah, to call in. I guess I was mentioned even in being in the room yesterday in the radio interview. It was funny.
I'm sure way it'll all work out for everyone. It always does.
I mean, we had, yes, we're past. Now I'm happy with working with them to get it to work, and they're anxious to make one input system. So you input into the county system, that works into your business software as well as to the state. So
that's required. That's part of the statute that they have to allow that.
If they actually come up with the interface to do it.
Well, I know a few people in Sacramento, and they're following up on that, and especially Richard Parrott from AG is going to talk with the people, the states. I forget the name of that company. They're going to talk with them so that they allow to integrate into their. So it's just one reporting.
Correct.
Hey, do you have Richard's contact info?
Yes, I do.
Could you say it? Thank you.
Yeah, right.
Hello, everyone. This is Lynn in the executive office today. I'm filling in for Carmel, who is away at a fire recovery meeting. So thank you for being here. I think this meeting may go a little fast because we didn't have information we really wanted to share with you yet. But I can just kind of give an introduction, and then what will happen is we'll take a few comments. But now we're going to do roll call. So as far as staffing, I'm the only person in the room other than we have Cass and from the executive office. So Cass is going to do roll call. Raymond?
Higher.
Boiler?
Here.
And Barry Casey. Donald Simone Pietre. Chris.
I'm here.
Jones. Drell.
I'm here.
Evan Johnson. Dodd. Janine Coleman.
I'm here.
And Nelson. Tati. Juman. Carrera.
And Paul, let's get that number before we hang up.
Myers.
Everybody.
Cares. Kelly. Marvin. Momi. Dane Boyer. Rick Sellers. Perry.
And I'll email that information to everyone.
Andrews. Edwards.
Present.
Sue Lottie. Tibbin.
Present.
Wilson. It may have missed.
Amanda Ryman. You probably called me at the top of the alphabet.
Okay. Hello, Amanda.
Can you hear me? My name's Kirk Vodapals.
What's your name?
My first is Kirk, and my last name is Vodapals.
Okay. Got it. Do we have everyone? Thank you. So I'm going to start off and talk a little bit about the process that has happened today. Are behind because of the fire recovery, so we're trying to play catch up. We have a consultant on board. His name is Paul Junker. The last name is Junker. He's Michael Baker International. We've spoken to him very briefly. He's trying to ground and digest a lot of the information that we've given to him. So he will be meeting with us. As far as I say us, I mean county staff. He will be meeting with us probably last week of November, and at that point we will schedule a phone conference with this working group, and you will have your first contact with him to ask questions and give your ideas. I said a lot of ideas have already been submitted, and we do have those, and we will be feeding to him. But if we have anything additional today that people would like to speak with, we would appreciate your input. So I think we should just kind of go down the list. If everyone could identify themselves, make their comment or question, and we will take that into So who will start?
Words.
Go ahead.
Will there be a readout of the meeting between Paul Junker of Michael Baker and county, so kind of have an idea of where both the county and Michael Baker are going?
Are you talking about when we meet with him one-on-one, just staff?
Yes.
I haven't thought of it, Ron, but we'll bring the key issues that we touch on. We can certainly bring that to the group.
Because it would help us know what the scope of what the county is expecting them and how it's going to work.
And I totally agree with you. We will definitely do that.
Okay, thank you.
This is Paul Hansberry. I'm wondering if there's going to be a special emphasis. I know that the overlay process is the main reason for them. Is there going to be any emphasis on exceptions?
We will ask question, Paul. I'll put that on the list.
This is Hannah Nelson.
Go ahead.
Yeah, add that and actually just delineate that the exceptions policy, the development of an exceptions policy was one of the three specific enumerated topics that the contract was to be let for.
Okay, I think you're absolutely correct. Yeah. Anything else, Hannah?
No, but thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Go ahead.
I just have a follow-up question. Hannah references three enumerated concepts. What were the other two?
One was
Should I answer
overlaid.
that?
Go ahead, Hannah.
So the first one in my mind was the exceptions process. The second one was coming up with areas that process for determining how an area that otherwise might not be eligible under the current ordinance could participate in the ordinance, whether it's through the development of an overlay zone or some other procedure to allow areas that, let's say, otherwise smaller parcels or the particular area wouldn't otherwise be allowed to participate, seeing how they could participate. So that, in my mind, is the second topic. And then the third topic, and the one that was added as the final piece of the puzzle, was based on community input to see if it's possible to develop a way to exclude areas from participation in the already enacted enacted ordinance.
Yeah, that's correct. I do think that the opt-in was the number one item, though. I don't think exceptions was. I think the opt-in was the original scope for getting a consultant on board. So I think opt-in, opt-out, and exclusions, the three items.
I think that the only thing that is that the exceptions policy was on kind of equal footing because it pertains to people who are similarly situated as the in that there may be some small reason why they technically wouldn't qualify. So an example that I always like to use that I think is the most clear cut is an example where, let's say they are 45 feet from the setback and they need to be 50 feet, and the neighbor really doesn't have a problem and is willing to give them permission. At this point, there's no process by which they can apply to have that reviewed and accepted. And so I think that was thought of as equal footing as the opt-in people because there may be some really small technical thing that it's a common sense discretionary review or whatever of the situation and allowing them to proceed. And in some ways, it might be even easier than an opt-in situation.
I think in some cases they may go hand in hand. Okay, so I've got those three.
Yeah.
So next question.
I follow up. I think this is Jude. You referenced already the list, but some of us put together 4 pages of categories, and underneath each of those categories, a number of specific questions and issues. Will all of that be presented to Paul by the staff, or are we going to be presenting that ourselves when we first meet? And also then, my second question is, how does the coastal zone fit in your mind, to the opt-in, opt-out exceptions framework?
So I don't think the contract with the consultant includes anything with regard to the coastal zone. I don't think.
So excluded again.
Well, I could say that, but that might be theology. As far as will we give the information to the consultant, we will give him as much information as we can so he can digest stuff before we really start meeting with him. So, yes, we will give that information to him. Any other comments?
No, trying to breathe. I'm a little bit frustrated by this.
Any other comments?
Okay, yeah,
Kurt, we have Kurt typing in a comment. So, Kurt, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, well, thank you.
Okay, my name's Kurt Vodopolz. I'm a resident of the Rancho Navarro subdivision near the town of Navarro, and we have a homeowners association. We've been dealing with a lot of cannabis issues in our neighborhood. It's all 10-acre parcels, and there's about 120 of them. And so personally, I'm an advocate for the opt-out. What we're trying to do is meet with everybody within our homeowners association and kind of poll everybody and see how they feel about everything. So we're kind of interested in the process of self-determination and maybe not completely excluding or opting out, but maybe possibly some kind of variation on it depending on how all of our members feel. So kind of where we're at.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. I know that the consultants can take a look at all of these types of things. So the more you have your property owners on board together, that's an important part of this.
Is there something we could send you that would kind of solidify that, or should I just keep participating in these meetings?
I mean, you can certainly send us something, but if you keep participating, that's the best way to stay on board with things. And like after our group meets with the consultant, I think we'll have a better understanding of where we're headed, and then definitely get into the nitty-gritty nuts and bolts of how this is all going to work and how the consultant's going to proceed with what he's proposing, how he's going to, do discussions with the different communities and areas that want to do the opt-in or the opt-out. So, any other questions or comments?
Well, that's it. I just wanted to, the homeowners associations and the subdivisions that we've been speaking with throughout the area, I think, have very similar concerns, and I was kind of hoping to speak with some other of those folks on this call, but I'm not sure if anybody is involved.
We'll hear from some of them, I'm sure. So who would like to go next?
Case Neal.
Go ahead, Steve.
So I would like to note, one, that the Laytonville Municipal Advisory Council has discussed the proposed prospectus for Laytonville at the last meeting. We expect to do a set of recommendations from LAMAC at their next meeting, which will be towards the end of November. So we will have a set of recommendations for Laytonville and the process. And then the other thing I'd like to suggest is that this process initially evolved in the Board of Supervisors discussions as a way to help people who were not going to be able to participate figure out how to participate. And I would really like to see the focus remain on that for the first part of this process. And once we've ironed out both the exception and the opt-in, I think it would then be appropriate to look at the opt-out. But I think it's important that we not put the cart before the horse, so to speak.
I disagree.
Agree with that.
I think what's going to happen is, there's going to be agreement and disagreement. I think really it's going to lie in the hands of the consultant to come up with how this is all going to play out. So I will just take comments, and we'll definitely let the consultant know. And when we start working with the consultant, because not only will this group be working with him, he will go into the communities that are involved. And I will say there's a lot of areas as far as communities, but also neighborhoods that will be involved. So this is the beginning stage, and we will figure this out once we have discussions with him.
And Mary Lynn, I would like to as we go, to keep this information available to all members of the working group of what meetings have taken place with whom, including lawyers. Is that a possibility?
I can't. Is this one? I can't. I'm not sure how to work on it.
It's wrong.
We'll give you as much information as we can.
In other words, I don't think, what I was going to say is that if we can keep it as transparent with all the meetings that are taking place with the consultant, then we'd all know where we're in this process.
As transparent as possible. That's our goal. That's totally our goal.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wait.
Yeah.
We have Sue on the line to speak. Sue, go ahead.
Oh, I just want to say, was it Kirk that spoke a few minutes ago?
Yes.
I just wanted to let him know that also there are a few of us that are on phone that are from the Woody Glen neighborhood, and we are on the same page as you are, and you can send me emails or we can talk. And my name is Sue Angelotti. Also, too, want people to keep in mind that we do have both sides of the fence that are participating at this meeting, and it shouldn't work one way in favor of having the opt-in and saying that the opt-out should be put at the back burner, because we're all in this together. And the reason why this was started was not just for the opt-ins. It was for individuals that live in neighborhoods that have never had cultivation before, where it's been brought into their neighborhoods. So going forward, people that are on the opposite side of the fence can realize that there are individuals that are participating in this process that don't want it in their neighborhood. And everybody should be respectful of each other on both sides of the fence.
Hi, this is Tia Carrera. Mary Lynn, are we
taking questions, or what are we doing here?
I'm basically taking comments because I don't have any answers for most of this, and we won't until we have the consultant involved in the conversation. So I'm really just taking some comments today, and I'm noting everyone's comments as we go through. So, did you have anything more to say?
I don't. I just, hearing the previous comment, I just wanted to make sure that those that are out there know that there are people on the other side of the fence, and this working group was not created just for those to opt in areas where the zone doesn't work for them. There are other people that are taking their time and attending these meetings because they think it's just as important to have this in their neighborhood where it's never been before. And I appreciate everybody listening to me and you taking your time to hear me, and very much.
Thank you. I've got your notes. So, Julia, was that you that had spoken? Do you want to go next?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Mary Lynn. I have a question. That's fast. I didn't know where we're at. And my question is has anyone at the county looked at the legal ramifications opt-out? Nothing against you, Sue, personally, but there are unused attorneys that say it's illegal to do that, and I'm wondering if Mendocino County has at all looked at that.
Yeah, I do know that when we get into this process, the consultant that's been hired has legal attorneys on staff, and that will be part of his review of this. So it will definitely be looked at legally. Everything we do gets looked at legally. So yes, it will be an item.
Mary Lynn.
Okay. Anyone go next?
And this is Susan. When it's appropriate, would you be able to share contact information for the consultant, Paul Junker, and also point us in the direction of when this time we can get together with Paul so that we can draft suggestions and recommendations?
So I'll just tell you who he works for. Part of what happens when we have consultants is we like any questions or comments to come through staff, and we direct them to Mr. Junker. If not everyone contacting him directly, it becomes he's charged for that, and that will use up the contract monies that we have, and we don't want that. So no direct contact comes through staff. But that said, Sue, it looks like we want to have him on board with our working group here the first part of December. That's our goal. But there is a website. It is called Michael Baker International, and you're welcome to go onto their website and look at stuff. But really, your first contact with him, a one-on-one, our group will be that first meeting, and hopefully the first part of December.
Please have that a face-to-face meeting.
I would like also, so I will definitely note that.
You're not on me.
I go next.
I have a quick question. This is Ellen Drell. I have a quick question for Casey. I'm assuming, Casey, that the recommendations that the LAMAC is going to put forward will be available for all of us to see, or what?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I had already sent along the initial prospectus. It was a pretty rough draft. As it gets, we're going to dive in over the next few weeks, and once the recommendations are final from LAMAC, I will definitely send that. I don't have a group email list for this working. I assume that if I sent it to Carmel, then she could circulate it.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead. I'm happy to send you the contacts. However, we all have to agree that these member lists get distributed, and I know that was a problem in the past. So if you want to send them to me, I can make sure that the group gets everything.
That sounds good.
All right, man, I will send, there was a request for contact information for Richard Parrott. I'll just send that to you, and then you could distribute it to the group. Would you do that?
Yes. Further comments? Anyone else want to speak?
Hi, this is Janine Coleman. I would like to speak to the function of the working group. I think it would be really helpful to continue to update our group contact list so that we can touch with the working group participants as that group grows and changes, and contribute towards conversation to speak a little bit to the polarity that's a potential in talking about exclusions and opt-ins and opt-outs. I think it's really worthwhile that we utilize the working group as an opportunity to field conversation between parties that have different interests, and so having that contact will be helpful. And I also want to just point out that one consideration for cannabis operators and why we're recommending a focus on opt-in and exceptions is the very contracted timeline for coming into state licensing. And so it's not a matter of wanting to exclude a portion of the community from the conversation. It's just a matter of wanting to really pay attention to prioritizing timelines according to the situation with state licensing coming online. Thank you.
In that as well. This is Casey.
So I'll speak to as far as contacting everyone. Spoke to that we really can't give out everyone's emails unless everyone agrees to that, and we don't have agreements from everyone, so we don't.
I agree with that.
So,
can I suggest just a group email sent out to the group, and we can opt in or out of wanting to share our contact information, because I'm sure most of us probably would like to have that conversation.
Leave that up to Cass and see if she's able to do that. If she's able, she will contact you. So we have Aaron. Aaron, do you want to have a time to speak here?
Lynn, hopefully you can hear me now.
I can, yes.
Wonderful. So 2 quick questions. Number 1, we initially submitted lists of questions and comments to Cass. First meeting, will those be turned over to the consultant?
Yes, will.
And then secondly, again, to reiterate, I'm not sure where the prioritization conversation evolved from, but the priority in the minds of several of the participants is an opt-out as well, so I want to reinforce that there are 2 perspectives here.
And we will take those notes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anna, did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a comment, and it was really reiterating what Janine said. I really wanted to let Sue and anybody else know who has various opinions about what should and shouldn't be done in their neighborhood, that any reference that I made to first or second or anything like that really had to do with the genesis of how the issue came before the Board of Supervisors, before some of those neighbors became involved and started participating and requesting things. And it was certainly meant to be a slight or a diss. And then most importantly is the recognition that there are deadlines coming up very soon in order for our local cannabis businesses to survive. They're going to need a state license. And that was, I think, a really critical reason why the exceptions policy and what we're calling opt-in was expressed to be prioritized prior to any opt-out, although I know that term is not necessarily favored. And it has, really, that was the main reason, and no offense is intended whatsoever.
Anna, so, Kirk, another question? See your name pop up.
Question, Mary Lynn. This is Ellen. If Kirk doesn't.
Go ahead, Ellen.
Has anybody pointed to a kind of a model or precedent or something comparable in other places around the state or even around the country? Counties have tackled this kind of a problem, where there's an effort to allow self-determination but still have an overriding plan.
This is Mary Lynn. So we pretty much know there is no other place that has done anything like this, and this is something that's being developed from scratch.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I did some research, and I've only found opt-in ordinance and things as historical districts and so forth. I did not, in my research, come across anything that included an opt-out.
Well, as a second part of my question, then, Mary Lynn, if I may, has the county planning department identified a list of legal sticky points or legal issues that stand out in the minds of the planners that are going to be particularly challenging to tackle?
You know, we pretty much left that up to the consultant. I mean, kind of his job. We honestly don't have the time to do that. So
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping for him to feed back to us. That's part of it.
Okay, thank you.
Point, Ellen.
Monique, and I just would like to ask a question or say something.
Yes, go ahead.
I just would like to make a comment to the consultant that the meetings that they hold publicly are held in locations of these overlay spots. So, for instance, Laytonville, that maybe a public meeting is held there. That way that they're not all just held in Ukiah. I think it's really important.
Part of the agreement, that is one of the things. They will go to the communities and meet there. They'll be here for board meetings, but for the most part, they'll be in the communities where they're doing this.
Okay, great. And also that we get lots of notice so that we can get the public engaged, because I feel like sometimes people don't get enough notice. You know, you find out just a couple days before or something like that. So it'd be great if there was some sort of timeline and we have advance notice to let all of the public know so that we can capture everybody's input and get everyone involved that wants to be.
So with that, a lot of times we notice because we go with what the legal requirements are. We don't always have the time, but the consultant will be made aware to please give as much time as possible for these meetings. So thank you, Monique. Someone's trying to talk, but they're cutting out.
Casey.
Schedule one meeting in Palo and one meeting in Lake.
Kate, we didn't hear you.
Can you hear now?
Yes.
So ideally that they would be able to schedule one meeting in Laytonville and also one meeting in Covelo. I think in these farther out areas of the county, it's hard for folks to make it. So the more that they can get on site into the communities, the more effective that's going to be.
Casey.
And this is Julia, correct? Speaking off of what Casey said, ideally I would add more than just Laytonville and Covelo. Purity, Leggett are both very important for OAs. They're and Westport.
Let me speak to that. As part of the contract, there's only a limited amount of meetings that will occur as part of the scoping it. So I know they're not going to go to every community. They may pick 2 or 3 prominent areas and that. So they're not going to make it to all the communities. We don't have that. And the other part of it is not part of the contract.
So with that said, should we make a? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. With that said, Mary Lynn, I think there needs to be a priority list then, because, for instance, Covelo and Leggett are mainly Rainland and Fortland and TPC, and so we have to look at its limited location number. Who are the communities that are most impacted? Thank you.
And that's what they will take a look at. We'll come up with that list with feedback from staff and probably from the working group. I would imagine this working group is going to be playing as part of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Would it be helpful for us to come up with a priority list with working group to present so that some of that footwork is already done? If we can all give that input, I know that the staff could also add theirs as well, but it's something that would be beneficial for us now.
I think that's probably a good idea. So if you guys want to think so. We'll come back and meet with them if we have a list of our projects. That would be a good thing.
Okay.
So that number of meetings is listed in the contract. We could go through that and find out how many there are so we can work within that framework.
Yeah, I apologize for not knowing how many that is, because I did see it as part of the scope. So I don't remember. But yeah, we can figure that out. We can let you know what that is also.
Okay.
Any other comments?
I have a question, Ellen. Is the contract available to view?
No, but I'll find out for you. I know why it would not. I will definitely find out.
Great, thank you.
Mo has a copy of it.
Okay.
Oh, Kelly here.
Go ahead.
I'm to the group, but I recognize names and voices from all of the excellent ability on YouTube and the board of supervisors attempt to be as I surely appreciate it. For Ms. Hunt, I was wondering if you could notify our consultant that we look at a possibility for subdivisions in rangeland to be covered by an opt-in overlay zone. An example would be a large ranch off Cobolo Road that was originally minimum 160 acres, but was divided into 40-acre parcels in the late 60s. And almost everyone in the subdivision cultivates for years, if not generations.
Oh, so noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Devin with the Farm Bureau. I have a quick question on that that's come up a couple times with this overlay, or at least something that should be addressed in terms of the existing negative deck with the ordinance and how these overlay areas may require an additional EIR review.
Definitely probably be subject to a CEQA review of some type, Devin. I'm not sure to what, how involved or, how far we go. And that will be one of the considerations that is definitely in play. Because if we go into an EIR territory, this will add time and money on to what's being proposed. So that is definitely one of the things we're looking at.
And Devin, the original CEQA report was done based on all cultivating, both legal and illegal. So as we go forward, there will be less illegal cultivation, so the sheriff can focus on that, and so the actual numbers will reduce.
And also, given the fact that these are pre-existing sites, they should be covered under.
Katie can't hear you.
These are pre-existing sites. They should be covered under the mitigated neg deck that's already issued, I would assume.
So that's something that the consultant will have to take into review. We can address it here. Do you have anything else?
I think it's sort of a combination just of the questions regarding, existing versus potentially non-existing versus, what may or may not happen with the overlays, and if there is going to be some potential expansion for allowability, that I would just refer back to the current negative deck to determine if there's an additional EIR requirement involved.
Right.
Monique, and I just want to say that I've heard that there actually be multiple overlays for different places, so we don't have to have just one overlay. I don't know how that looks, and I'm assuming that this consultant has experience and understanding in all of that, but if not, just want to throw that out there. So, yeah.
Okay. We've got a few minutes. I'll take 2 more comments.
Hi, this is Anne-Marie Borges, and our land use attorney wanted to know how to get in touch with the consultant to get an understanding of their background in regard to the cases that have already been resolved in California about opting in, opting out?
So I stated earlier, we're not going to give that information out, but you're welcome to go to their website. It's Michael Baker International is the consulting firm. Our consultant that we're working with, his name is Paul Junker, that's Gunker. And these items that will be discussed, if you have any comments, you're welcome to submit them through staff, and they will go to him directly. We want to get into this having everyone call him directly because it eats up time and money, and we need to deal through staff. And at some point, when he starts coming to the community meetings and being more involved in the public eye, then that's the time when we'll probably have more direct contact. You will all have more direct contact with him. But for the initial phase, you need to come through staff with any comments or questions.
So you're suggesting that I have my attorney contact him through his website or contact your staff?
He's welcome to contact staff. If he has any questions, he's welcome to call or write a letter to staff, and those will be directed to the consultant.
Okay, I'll email. Thank you.
If he feels necessary, then he would contact you back directly or your attorney directly.
Okay, maybe it would be best, but thank you.
Okay, anyone else? We've got one final comment here. Good. Oh, go ahead.
This is Jennifer, and I just want to say I think that it's wonderful that we have an opportunity and a venue to go through this process, and I look forward to transparent process. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. That said, I'm thinking we won't be together again until the first part of December. At that point, like I said, whatever we discuss with the consultant in our staff meeting with him in the last part of November, we'll try and get that information out to everyone before the working group meeting. So, okay. Ed, I think
Mary Lynn, I'm sorry to jump in. I had the mute on. I was trying to get my voice in earlier. This is Jude. We're going to be meeting for a long time. We're closing right now. Can you just, I'm in communication with the Governor's Economic and Small Business Development Office, who's concerned about the Coastal Commission and how we're working this in the county. And can you tell me, just for the record for this meeting, what the reason is that this is not under the purview of the Overlay Working Group?
Under the Overlay Working Group, I just don't know if it was part of what the consultant was looking at. And I'm not going to even say that specifically, Jude. Maybe that is part of it. I just didn't see that or remember that, so it could very well be. So if you call me Friday, we can talk about this.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm not sure, Jude, and I don't remember part of it.
All right.
Mary, one bookie question. If I want to get a copy of the contract, can I do that by the planning department, or is it on the website, or how would I do that?
Have to submit it.
It's actually, you can, it's a record that, okay.
Who's Pete? Is that Monique?
I'm sorry, this is Ellen asking this.
My answer.
I thought that contract was available on the website if you look for the, like we can see the public record when people have requested it on some documents, and I believe it's on there.
It probably is. I don't know the exact spot where it's located. Do you know, Council, where it's at?
It's under request, but if they send a request for a public record through the executive office, then you'll open up to a link, and if somebody's already requested that, it's already uploaded to that. You should contact, you can contact Sarah Duquette in the executive office. She handles our public records requests.
So this is under the public. It's not just simply available as a document available to the public. You have a special public Records Act request?
Correct. Our contracts are not uploaded onto the website.
Oh, so I make a request to Sarah Buchanan in the executive office.
Did everyone understand that? Everyone understand that? Are we good? Okay. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
All right.
Thanks, Mary.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.